Hey, this is Dave from metalepidemic.com. Thank you for checking out our YouTube video. Please feel free to hit the subscribe button below if you like this type of content, and we hope you enjoy the review. Up, Dave, Duncan, Kyle.
So you were asking yourself there.
What's up, Dave?
Up, Dave. Well, thanks for asking me, Dave. I'm doing hunky fucking dory. Love it. Love everything that's happened. Right at the start. Derailed right at the start.
Yes. Starters were meant to go on in 2022.
Oh yeah, my Christmas tree apparently is still up because it's not December that we're recording this, it's January.
No, you just keep it up all year.
Yeah, for continuity's sake, I'm going up to now. Why is the Christmas tree still up, darling? The Metal Epidemic.
There's some Spanish in your family, isn't there? You got until the 6th of January.
Yep. Feliz Navidad. Yep, I've got it. Let's go. Right, Dave.
Anywho, welcome back to another album review, and for this review, Duncan Kyle and I have been checking out the new album from Swedish death metal trio Necrophagus. The band's new album, In Chaos Ascend, will be released on January 7th via Transcending Obscurity Records. Okay, so, lads.
Oh,
I'm not going to lie here.
he's sitting us down at the campfire. He's about to tell us a story.
Coming a bit closer. When I heard about this project, I literally just about shit my pants. I literally just about shit myself. This band, right? Trio, 3 guys. 3.
Yeah, I'm glad that you specified what trio was.
Just in case.
Kyle's been in Norway for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know how to get over there.
Trio can be confusing in other languages. Just, for the record.
If it makes it easier, just call it a trio.
Trio.
It's a trio. They're a trio.
Trio. Featuring Martin Michelson, ex-Entrails on drums, Jokke Svensson, ex-Entrails on bass, and Tommy Carlson, ex-Entrails and ex-Visceral Bleeding on vocals and guitar.
Are Entrails still a band?
Yes.
I just trying to make sure. Sounds like they lost a few members.
Yeah.
So this is the audio slave of Swedish death metal.
Yeah.
Oh
Yes.
man.
This had me at hello boys. I'm not gonna lie. This had me by the dick titties. I
now know what they are thanks to a quantifier last year.
It's all right.
Technically this year, but we're recording it in January, so.
I love both. I'm a fan of Entrails, but I love Visceral Bleeding. So this was a bit of a no-brainer for me. But I must admit, I went on a bit of an emotional roller coaster initially. Obviously, I was pretty high on the fact that there was a member of Visceral Bleeding involved. As I said, I love that band. Remnants Revived is one of my favourite death metal albums. I have like the drum parts just ingrained in my brain forever. Then I read that it was a guy called Tommy Carlson, and I was like, Tommy Carlson? Thomas Carlson, yeah.
Tommy Carlson sounds like a guy that maybe had a magician's act in the 70s in Blackpool. Tommy Carlson's Magic Hour.
Yeah.
It was 25 minutes in.
Yep. Now he's in a trio in this.
He's in a trio. We need to drop that. That's just, people are going to look at us weird. We're technically in a trio right now, and I'm not comfortable with it.
Yeah, the name didn't ring a bell, to be honest. Turns out he wasn't in the band that long. I don't even think he was on an album, to be honest. So my excitement did take a little bit of a decline after reading that.
Can you technically? Well, no, I suppose you can if you tour with a band. You're still technically in the band, even if you didn't.
I think it was around 2004. He was in the band. But then, I was like, all right, fair enough. Yeah, I'm still going to check this out, obviously,
100%. You predicted, let's do this.
Absolutely. And then I listened to the album, and it went right back up again. And when I say it, I mean my penis. This is a debut album from Necrophagus. as we were chatting before, there is another Necrophagus, or a few other Necrophaguses, and Necrophagis. I don't know. There is a.
I don't know what's going on. I don't think you can pluralise this word. I think it's singular only.
Could be. Could be. We're using the word trio, so really, this doesn't matter at this point.
Necrophaguses? Maybe? Like synopses? Necrophagis.
Necrophagis?
I have no.
I kind of like Necrophagi.
Necrophagis sound like a really bad pair of shoes. You're like kind of budget Reebok lights. You know what I mean?
Piss ripped at you at school. You wearing those Necrophagis?
Aye.
Yeah. Anyway,
they're what cheap gravediggers were.
Yeah. Is that what they call you if you steal a pair of trainers off a dead body?
Yeah.
I don't know what it means. I bet you it's something. While you guys are talking, I'm going to consult the compendium of Latin phrases. It's something to do with death.
Yeah.
Ergo necro. And I imagine it's something to do with magic, but I'll find out.
Yeah, definitely. But the other kind of main Necrophagus, they've been going since the 90s. This band only just formed in 2020. And their intention was to write catchy, more groove-structured death metal songs rather than focus on speed and extremely technical riffs. I'm not sure who handled the recording or production duties. I couldn't find any information on that, but the album was mastered by Colin Davis at Imperial Mastering.
It means to consume dead bodies.
Oh.
So if cannibalism is cannibalism's consuming dead. I don't have a fucking clue. I'm more confused than I was when I started.
Yeah.
So.
Join the trio.
If anyone wants to let us know, stick it in the comments below.
Yeah. Apparently its etymology dates back to 1835. So, which was the first use of death metal back then. When the first death metal band formed.
Yeah.
Where it was just all corpses and no music. That's evolved since then.
Yeah.
Dave was excited. Dick titties were a swinging, but the shaft was erect, bulbous.
Yes. I think I'm going to start with the production, just since I mentioned it there. I think there's a lot to appreciate with a production like this.
Yes.
It very much leans into like an older production style.
Yes.
I don't mean it sounds like dated, but the production style is very reminiscent of that kind of 90s death metal style. So like when I was listening, I was thinking there is very kind of little, like as Kyle would say, studio fuckery going on here. It didn't feel like they were trying to kind of cover up blemishes or make this sound like super polished. And I kind of dig that, like just a band that want to record their sound kind of as it is and not really fuck with it too much to make it like super polished or time aligned or fucking layered up with a billion guitars. Actually, when I was listening to it, it reminded me both in kind of production style and a bit musically of like early Decapitated. This was for me like kind of tonally in that like nihility or negation era of Decapitated, when they had a bit of technicality, but they were more focused on the groove and just kind of writing really memorable riffs. I love Decapitated, but I think their first like 4 albums are probably their best, to be honest. Their newer stuff's like more polished and has a lot more like intricacies. But that raw, more like organic sound they had back then, just like I felt has like more personality to me, and that's what I get with like Necrophagus. They have a very like direct, like there's no kind of wankery approach to their style. This is like death metal. It's played with ferocity and it's delivered by like from what I can hear, very experienced musicians who know exactly what they want to achieve with this. And on a debut, I found it kind of hard not to be impressed with this, to be honest. The sound, like to sound this sure of yourself on album number 1, and deliver it with this much like kind of precision and self-confidence. It was hard for me not to be kind of like bowled over by this. And I think this is an album that just for me it just got better every time I listened to it. On my first listen, I was quite impressed, but by listen like 4 or 5, I was like completely hooked by it. So much so that I was like, I didn't really want to listen to the other albums we were recording reviews for this week. I did, obviously, I'm not an idiot, but
I hope so, otherwise your blagging skills are going to be great.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. But this was like my most listened to album by a country mile. As soon as it ended, I just like stuck it on straight away. And each time, I'd kind of get drawn to a different track. My first couple of listens, it was the title track, which, like as I've mentioned, had a very like Decapitated, Nihility era to it. That feel. It's got a huge groove, the thunderous bass drums, very catchy riffs, and like plenty of variation in the structure from start to finish. But then as I started listening more, I really liked, there's a track called The Vile Embalmed, which it's a bit more of a progressive feel to it. It's got like the chaotic blasts, and it's got these kind of like bendy, like kind of prog infused riffs. Actually reminded me a little bit of X-Doll at times, just certain riffs, and I was like, oh, well, that's a little bit kind of similar to X-Doll. But the end part has like this almost kind of like doomy kind of section, where the chords are like kind of individually picked, but it has like a crowbar type sound to it. But the last few listens of the album, I was really drawn to the final track, Wrecker of Pain. In particular, it's got like these kind of blackened like vocal chants that they added in, and I love that like addition of the different kind of vocal style. It really gave that track like a bit of distinction, and it gave the album a very strong finish, in my opinion. I mentioned the production here, and it just kind of like sealed the deal for me. It's heavy and it's controlled, but it's not overpowering. I love the fact that the bass sits really audible in the mix as well. That's a very 90s death metal thing, but it's not buried between a mountain of guitars and drums. It's very prominent. You can hear like each string being played, which I loved. The bass tone and presence, I felt, was like more in line with almost more in line with like a progressive death metal sound, where you can hear all the runs and stuff. But this isn't like overly flashy, but like as much as like Obscura or Gorguts or something, but you can still hear every lick that he plays. Guitars are really tight in sync with the drumming, whether it's something really kind of groove orientated or he's going like full blast riffing. And again, Tommy, I feel like he does have a bit of that kind of like Vogue type style from Decapitated, which I look at as like a huge compliment, because Vogue is a hell of a guitarist, very distinctive in style, and I think Tommy has that same kind of natural feel that he's playing. It seems almost kind of effortless. But what I also liked about Tommy's style is that the change-ups in formula, going from like the kind of blast riffing into something more blackened, or even down a more like kind of discordant route, like on Traitors and the Pendulum. He's not formulaic in the slightest, and he's playing every song had something different to kind of appreciate. Vocally, I think it sits within a kind of low to kind of mid-range for most of the album, with the occasional like really kind of low guttural, but I like the kind of odd scream that they add in with that kind of extra reverb on it, just so that it would kind of ring out a bit longer. That was pretty cool. And as I said, I love the kind of the chant kind of style on the last track. It's not all over like the scale in terms of different vocal registers, but I think it's delivered very well, and I think he's got a great tone. Yeah, I'm going to go back to Decapitated again, but Nihility is like one of my favourite death metal albums of all time, and the vocals on that album aren't what I would class as like overly varied, but I think they do what's needed for the album, and it works brilliantly. I kind of feel the same about this, to be honest. I had a really good time with this, and it's one of those albums every time I go back to, I just love it. Like I just want to play it again and again. I've played it like at home when I'm sitting working in the car. Like it just fucking, I loved it. Yeah, great album. What about you guys, Duncan? What do you think?
Don't love it as much as you.
What?
Don't hate it. Don't love it as much as you. I found this album much more interesting from about track 4 onwards. I think they start mixing stuff up a bit more. I actually found like the first 2 tracks a bit beige, if I'm honest. Sorry. Really? It just didn't grab me at all in any way. I don't know if that's because I've heard a lot of amazing death metal in 2021, which is not the year we're recording this review. It's a brand new year, so we've reset it. But yeah, it didn't grab me at first. It did remind me, interesting, like you were talking about that kind of late 90s era death metal, kind of early 2000s as well. I remember listening to a lot of music that kind of sounded like this, even locally in the kind of local scene. Death metal bands sounded like this, maybe not nearly as proficient as this, but that was the sound they were going for. Like you said before, the mix being very, very clear to the bass and the guitars, and the drums just doing what they need to do without completely overpowering the mix, which is a lot of death metal. Now, I'll kind of swing back to what you were saying as well. It wasn't necessarily evident to me that they tried to do anything to polish this up, which once again, if you're gonna... Not that I want shots fired. Well, maybe I do, I don't know. It's death metal. I mean, if ever there was a genre to kind of hit things organically, this is kind of the genre to do it. I think unless it's the technical side of death metal, there's no need to be like making everything as precision tested as possible, because these guys here are tight as fuck, and I could hear everything they were doing on the guitars, and it didn't really sound like anyone was messing too much with the setup. Drummer's a beast. Some of that bass pedal work is fucking great, and vocally, I mean, I know what you're saying, but to me there's like death metal vocalists and black metal vocalists almost exist in their own little bubble, in that it is perfectly acceptable to be not necessarily monotone, but stick within a more confined range vocally, and for that to completely work on an entire album without sounding monotonous. I think the only time I start to get a bit iffy about that is when the range that they sing in is so gutturally low that you can't identify anything they're singing, or in the black metal realm it's so high. It's so high pitched and so reverby that you can't make out anything they're doing. This guy, as you can make out, there's tonality there, which I think works really, really well. And I mean actual proper tonality, where he's hitting in line with a kind of root note of a chord that's being played, and it works well. I think it works really, really well. It's not overpowering either, which I kind of like. I did originally. It was what the interesting thing about it is, I think it's maybe one of the reasons I'm not too keen on at least the first track. I think vocally the first two track is too prominent in the mix. I think it's just a little bit too loud, and then by the time you get to Traitors and the Pendulum, it kind of finds and it's either my ears are acclimating to it because the opening track isn't that way inclined, that it's jumping at me too much because the vocals kick in pretty quick, or it's a case of that song has just slightly higher in the mix. The back end of this album is really exciting though. It's where I like. It's worth getting through the first couple of songs to get to the back end, where I think they tried a lot more experimentation in what they were playing. There was a lot of different ideas being flung into their sound, which worked. The Doomy section you were talking about sounds fucking bitchin'. And what I kind of love about it is it's just there and then it's gone. It's like not like, well, this is how. It's not like the beatdown and deathcore bands where it's a tool utilized regularly to the point that it becomes non-impactious. In the case of this one, it's used just for the right amount of time. It switches things up, it changes your perception, and then the next song hits you in the face again with some good old-fashioned death metal, and I love that about it. Clearly talented musicians, clearly. I mean, you don't have the lineage of bands that these guys have without being talented, so it doesn't surprise me that this first album sounds so assured. They're from good stock that way. I think overall this is a more interesting death metal album for me, primarily because it's mixed in a way that I enjoy, but it's also varied, specifically in the back half. I don't know what it is, those first 2-3 songs just don't grab me. It's not really until the Traitors and the Pendulum kicks in that my attention started to really perk up to what they were doing. I think Order of the Line, which is the first official track after the binding, it just kind of falls a bit flat for me. Not sure why. It's very, very difficult because there's nothing on it that should make it not work for me. Nothing visible where I'd be like, well, here's the problem. This riff here. Nothing like that at all. It just did not gravitate towards me. And then at the Dawn, the Immolate is kind of similar. I mean, it exists. It's fine to listen to, but it doesn't nearly grab my interest as much as everything from about track 4 onward. It's a cool album. I'm the tough sell every time when it comes to death metal, and you're just going to have to get used to it after 2 years. This album is not going to score ridiculously high, but I appreciate absolutely every element of the craft that goes into it. So well done for them.
Cool. Kyle?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page as Duncan. I mean, it's the first three, 4 tracks was just like, I mean, I understand where they come from and who they are and all this stuff, but like, yeah, the first 3 or 4 tracks is like, could this be any more generic death metal? I mean, what? I've heard, I swear, I've heard 1,000 bands. What the fuck? I was like, I've heard this been done 1,000 times before, but then after that, after the first 3, 4 tracks, it got way more interesting. I was like, aha! So if they cut those 3, 4 tracks or ordered them the other way around, I would have been way more happy.
Leave them in.
Absolutely.
Also love the fact that, like, we're talking about a clearly a 90s influenced death metal band, and you made a 90s influenced bath salts.
Yeah.
No one does bath salts anymore. Hey. You haven't done it since the 90s, where people started eating each other's faces, Dave.
Some people still like some bath salts, alright?
Sounds like you're speaking from experience.
Sell them on Amazon, just saying.
And I've got Amazon Prime.
Production, Kyle, come on, this is...
The production is fucking insane. I love it. I'm not kidding. That's the top selling point for this album for me, is the production is absolutely near damn perfect. I love it. The guitars are so natural, the drums are real, the bass is there. You don't hear that in death metal anymore, so I really appreciate it. They kept it more natural and organic and harkened back to those 90s days when things were how they're meant to be. Not so much studio fuckery at all. And it was really, really... That's first thing grabbed me when I put it on, but then I started listening to the songs. I was like, these first ones, they're not great. I mean, but really, after that, it got really good for me. There's way more variation and, you know, different elements like that Doom section you were mentioning before really excited me. I was like, great. But because those first few songs, I was like, come on, I've got to trog through these to get to the good stuff. And it kind of tainted my whole experience the first time I listened to it. I was like, oh my God. But they're fantastic musicians. They know exactly what they want to do and what they want to be, and that's great, and I'm glad that they are doing it, and I hope that they lean more into the things that are more exciting if they carry on, and maybe, like, find a name, Necrophagus 5. Necrophagus the 5th. I mean, that last song, Reeker of Pain. I mean, it's got the best name on the album for a start. And it's like, yeah, some of the things in there are just really, really good. I really like that one. So I think if they ordered the album the opposite way, it probably would have been more exciting, and then you could just sort of drift off in the back half. But this way, I mean, that's the only complaint I have, is just some of the riffs weren't really grabbing me, because, I mean, they clearly have influences from the 90s and all that stuff, and it shows very well. But, I mean, that's 30 years almost of death metal that you're drawing off, and there's not really much more new things to be done. So, I mean,
don't say that. I mean, so, let's close up this is the last metal effort. There's nothing left to be done. Okay, close the doors.
I mean, from 90s death metal, it was done 20 years ago. Yeah, and so it's like, yeah, okay, you can do that over and over and over again. It's all going to sound the same. It's just how you do it and small differences that are going to make you stand out in that world. And these guys have that, but it didn't come through until like after track 4. So, for me, you can sit there and shake your head all you like.
You're so wrong, man. So wrong.
And I'm entitled to my wrong opinion.
Yeah, listen, if you're going to be looking for something unique and original in every single album, you're not going to get it. But there's something to be said from guys that just do really good fucking death metal.
Absolutely,
I mean, it can still be scored very high. You know what I mean? It's maybe not unique, but it's fucking unexceptional.
I totally agree. It's just that uniqueness didn't start to come out to me until after track 3. And just...
That's not great, Phil.
I don't get how I'm saying the same fucking thing Duncan did, and I'm getting the shed of approval.
This is for both of you. This head shake for both of you.
Fine. I can live with that.
Fuck's sake. Okay. Ratings.
Happy New Year, listeners.
Don't fucking listen to these bears. This is a banger. This is fucking riffs galore. This album fucking slaps. Get it in your ears. It's a 4.5. Don't listen to what any of these cunts have got to say. End of story. Duncan, what's your score?
They're not going to listen to me, so let's not bother scoring it.
Excellent. Kyle, what's your score?
This album slaps, but it doesn't fuck.
Excellent. Okay, so 4.5 then?
They're not going to listen to me either, so I mean...
Cool.
You just literally said don't listen to us, and then you're like, give us a score.
Yeah.
Well, you need to give it a score. You just fucking told us what you think of the album, so what's your score?
It's a 3.5, Dave. I like it. It's not a 4.5. Sorry for upsetting you.
Kyle?
It's a 3.5, yeah.
4.5. Excellent.
3.5 album.
This album comes out on January 7th on Transcending Obscurity Records. It's a 4.5 out of 5. Check it out. If you want to check out the band, you can check them out online. Necrophagus, facebook.com/necrophagus.sweden. I'll put a link below.
Also get a feeling that our cameras are just going to cut out in this video when it goes at the light. He's just going to phase us out completely.
I've never seen him so angry. I can feel the heat from Scotland right now.
There is no heat in Scotland.
Well, it's there. It's all in his house.
I had my COVID booster. It's maybe the vaccine talking. Who knows?
In January.
I'll put a link in to their Facebook and to their Bandcamp if you want to check out the pre-order. Do check it out. If you like death metal, then definitely have a listen to this. They've got, I think, a couple of singles up so far.
I agree with that statement. If you like death metal, listen to the album.
And then you realise how good it is once you've heard a couple of the tracks.
It's good.
It's good. That is the review. Let us know what you think. Have a listen. Stick some comments below once you've checked out the singles or you've checked out the album when it drops. Happy to hear your thoughts and opinions on it. That is the review. Thank you for checking it out. Much appreciated. We'll be back with another review very soon, but until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.
For the last time ever, goodbye.
Bye. You'll be seeing me again very soon.
The rebirth for fire.